Well, I'm really excited to introduce our guest speaker today. Dan Bradshaw grew up in Salt Lake City and has a business degree from the University of Utah. Dan worked in the insurance industry for his career, managing and servicing clients, and owned Benchmark Insurance Agency. His expertise is in risk management and advising architects and engineers in their professional practices and providing their professional liability coverage. Dan also earned a master's degree in risk management from Walden University. Dan is a car guy. Any car guys in the audience? Motorheads? Yeah, I'm getting a couple nods. Okay, good, we got a few. He still owns the 1946 Dodge truck he restored in high school and dated his wife in. And he has had many car projects since high school and worked with each of his children, boys and girls, on a car to drive when they were 16 years old. Dan is chairman of the Burnout Contest, which is part of the Bountiful Rotary Coats for Kids car show, and that keeps him in the smoke and action during the event. Dan and his wife, Holly, who is also joining us today, are the parents of 5 children and 7 grandchildren. Dan loves to serve others and give back where he can. He has assisted Paul Summers and other Utah Rotarians on numerous projects to the Native Americans in southern Utah, and he also just recently founded, with his wife, Holly, the San Pete Rotary Club. Dan also loves to explore the outdoors in his Jeep and in his side-by-side. So please welcome Dan Bradshaw. Thanks, Dan.
Wow, that makes me sound really great, doesn't it? So I'm really excited to be here. Russ and I started talking about this speaking assignment about 10 days ago. I've been retired for about 4.5 years. And as I reflected on what I would talk, Russ and I spent about an hour talking about things I could talk about, and Holly was there too. And then in the last 10 days, I've been thinking a great deal about my working career and how it all went. So I was excited to try to come to you and inspire all of you to just really excel at what you're learning in your career, or if you want to start your own business, or if you want to have a side business and what it takes to do that. So I wanted to share with you my journey and my story. Yours is going to be totally different than mine, but there's going to be some common elements that go on in that story. Let's make sure I know how to run this. So there's my background, as it was said on the bio. So I co-managed over on the right side, I co-managed with my brother and father a large multi-state insurance agency. We had offices in Nevada and Utah, and we had about 50 people. And then, while I also co-managed, my dad, who I worked with, it was always really important that I was also a salesperson and I was also working with clients. So not only did I have to sell insurance and work with clients, I had to manage payroll, I had to manage computer systems, I had to hire and fire people. So I had to do all that at the same time. And that was really important that my dad had that belief that that's what his 2 sons needed to do as they worked in that insurance agency. The last 15 years of my career, I split off and I had my own agency in Bountiful, and Holly back there was my great partner in doing that. We had 4 employees, and it was a lot of exciting times, a lot of worried times, but we made it. And at the end, I'm going to talk about what happens to you at the end when you want to retire. All of you are so young. I don't think I ever thought that I would ever be 70 years old. None of you think you're ever going to be 70, right? So it's really hard to look to that future, but I'll share a couple insights along the way. Along the way, I also ran a janitorial business with 4 employees. That was a gift to me by a fellow that my sister was dating, and he left to serve an LDS mission, and he said, "Why don't you just take over this janitorial business?" So I was still in school, and Holly and I said, "Why not?" That led to the adventure of getting to clean on Christmas weekend because our employees would always be sick for some reason or whatever else. And then also along the way, and I'll explain why this came up, I ran a snow plowing operation with my brother-in-law and my good friend Farley, and we managed about 30 accounts and had 4 trucks. Now, back in those days, it used to snow. It doesn't seem to snow like it did in those days. And then later, I started an internet sales operation selling map software, which was the new thing several years ago. Here's the view from Skyline Drive in Sanpete County. I love to get up on Skyline Drive. But the interesting thing is, you guys have all kinds of new tools available to you that I never had the advantage of. This is actually that same picture, and I asked my friends at the AI program, I don't think I used ChatGPT, I used one of the other ones, to take that picture and make me a PowerPoint background. So that's a new tool. In my day, doing PowerPoints, I never knew how to do a new background. So I had to ask ChatGPT to help me for this presentation. You're the same way. You have artificial intelligence, you have Google search, you have YouTube. I had to relearn how to do a PowerPoint presentation this last week because I hadn't made one for 2 years. And I had to go to Google and I had to go to YouTube to learn how to do some of this stuff. All of those tools are right at your fingertips. My major career was insurance, so I need to talk about that for a minute so that you'll understand. I don't know, if I ask, is there anybody here that's dying to go into the career in insurance? Look at that, Yasmin from Tunisia. Morocco. Okay, there you go. Well, the best kept secret is insurance as a career is a wonderful career. You make good money, you have good hours, and it's a great career. So don't be afraid of it. There's a couple different types of insurance that I just need to give you a little bit of background on. There's property insurance. That's your fire insurance on your house or the collision coverage on your car. There's the liability coverage, which is the coverage that pays when you rear-ended somebody at the stop sign and you need money to pay for their repairs. There's professional liability. That's what architects and engineers buy. That's what doctors buy. That's what lawyers buy. Even insurance agents buy that. Just in case, as a professional, somebody thinks that you've made a mistake and want to hold you financially liable for what's gone on. There's life insurance. So we kind of all know what that might be. That's insuring a life. There's health insurance. Health insurance has all kinds of different flavors now. There's the group health insurance. There's individual medical insurance. Some of you may have been familiar with that by buying that on the government portal, okay, the health.gov portal. That's individual insurance. And then there's Medicare insurance. That's what old guys like me have to buy. And there's this whole specialty of agents that deal in that. And as I look at it now as a retired guy, it's like, why didn't I sell some of that? Because it's like a gold mine. It just keeps renewing year after year, and you get a commission on it. There's also transportation insurance. This is a specialized field oftentimes. We call it inland marine. That's the thing. Whenever I see a hauler truck going down the road with new Corvettes stacked on it, I'll often count up and see how many on there. 8 or 10 at $90,000 a piece. If there's a crash and that truck rolls over, that's a lot of value that's going to be damaged. And that's a specialty coverage called inland marine or transportation insurance. There's also ocean cargo insurance. That's the coverage when you see those big container ships stacked full of containers. That's a specialty coverage. Because guess what? If your stuff that you're importing for your business is in one of those containers and the ship master decides that he has to jettison your container because his ship is in trouble, he has the right to just launch your container into the ocean. There are stories of people that have come across these containers full of brand new shoes, brand new stuff. And it's a specialty coverage, but it's really important to an owner of a business that they understand that, so they don't end up with their load of shoes they're selling on the internet floating in the ocean with no way to get the value recovered for that. So for 30 of my 45 years in insurance, I focused on the professional liability for architects and engineers. They have a unique challenge. Over the last few months, I've watched this Revere Health building be built right next door here. For months, it sat with no workers there. And I wondered, what's the backstory? Whenever there's a project that's delayed, never is there a project that's so current on time that they're going to slow it down because they want it to be done at a certain date. That never happens. So I'm sure there's a backstory on why the Revere Health building sat with nothing going on for most of the summer. And in those situations, I know from my experience, the people that get blamed for sometimes why it's sitting there with no construction is the architect or the engineer. And that's what my profession for those last 30 years was, to help those architects or engineers to not take the blame for a delayed project. My son came to work with me, and we bought a book of business that was insuring jewelers. So jewelers have an interesting challenge. There was a little segment on the news last night of the jeweler heist at the Louvre in Paris. Showed the first time I've seen the footage of them inside the Louvre, and they somehow cut the glass, the really thick glass display cases, and then busted in to get all that jewelry that's worth millions from the Louvre. So my son works with the jewelers because they often have a lot of value sitting in those display cases. And there's these situations now where the thieves come in with hammers in the daylight, and they quickly smash all the cases and grab all the stuff. So very, very unique challenges with insurance. But how does insurance work? Okay, Russ and I move here to San Pete, and we are farmers. And Russ builds a red barn, and my barn's not quite as cool as Russ's barn. And the thing that we're worrying about happening is lightning can cause fires. And we've got in our barn our whole winter season hay batch is in there. So we are scared to death of a lightning storm coming across this valley. So what Russ and I do, and you can see which one's Russ right here. He's the good looking one. No, maybe he's this one.
The bald one.
Oh, you're the bald one? Oh, you want to be the bald one? There you go. Okay. So we and a couple other farmers, we get together because we're worried about our barns, and we pledge with each other that we will provide the labor to do a barn raising. Okay? So we pledge that if one of us loses a barn, we will all gather and do a barn raising and put the sticks back up for a barn. The problem is, where are we going to get the money to buy the sticks? Where are we going to get the money for the lumber? So what we agree to do, all of us, is that every month we will, all of us, all four of us, put $1 in the jar that somebody will keep in their kitchen up on the shelf, so that the $1 that we all put in the jar will buy the lumber for the first guy that has a fire and needs to buy lumber. So that's how insurance works. We're all contributing to get that barn back up, some with labor, some with the dollars we put in the mason jar. Now, Russ comes to me one day and he said, I was reading in the San Pete Record that there is a new contraption called a lightning rod. And all it does is we install it on the roof, and it's just a rod, and we run another wire all the way down the roof, and we hammer a stake into the ground at the end of that wire. And so when it lightning will strike that, and it'll go all the way to ground without wanting to put our roof on fire. I don't know if you can see over here, but there's lightning rods there, and there's a lightning rod there, and these wires that are taking the lightning are going that way to go to ground. So Russ says, what if we get lightning rods? Well, the great thing is, this is a risk management thing. And now we can each only put 50 cents a month in the jar to buy the lumber if we all agree to put lightning rods on. So that's a risk management thing to help you understand. In my work with the architects and engineers in my career, I kept teaching them how to not have a lawsuit, how to not let the attorneys get at them. And if they did get a lawsuit, I coached them, and the insurance company I represented worked really hard to get them out of it at the lowest cost possible. All right, so let's talk about entrepreneurship. Such a fun word. And what motivates you? I'm going to ask Yasmin, what motivates you? Yep. You just want to work? Oh, you want to be your own boss? He wants to be his own boss. Let's see, where's our trithol person? Ah, okay, what motivates you?
I just think it's something I'm passionate about, and I want to be able to do it the way that I want to do it.
And you want to be your own boss too, sounds like.
Yeah, kind of.
Kinda? Okay. Anybody else want to tell me what motivates them? Yeah?
I want to go on trips.
You want to be able to go on trips as part of your work or have the money to go on trips?
Cool.
Both. Okay. You would like to travel as part of your work and then have extra money to stay after a work trip and sightsee. Okay. That's good. That's really good. How come nobody said money, my top one? Money doesn't motivate any of you? Oh, we have a money motivator back here.
Motivates me
Why does money motivate you?
because it gives you like flexibility with life.
Okay.
More freedom.
All right. Gives you more freedom. All right. That's good. So we had kind of a hobby thing mentioned, or maybe you've had a lifelong dream that's what you want to be when you grow up. You want to do this thing. Maybe it's a side job. Okay. Maybe it's so that you'll be doing a job you'll enjoy, because working for 45 years is a long time. Long time. You can't even, see, I asked you if any of you can picture yourself as age 70. None of you can. I couldn't picture myself at age 70 either, and being done with a long work career. And it's part of your career. Okay, let's see. Let me tell you about my story. That looks like fun, doesn't it? So between my sophomore and junior year at the University of Utah, I was going to be a river guide out of Moab. I had gone and done my advanced first aid training. I was ready to go in the summer to be a river guide. River guides are pretty cool guys, right? Okay. But instead, my dad came to me about in May. Okay, so I'd been working on this plan. I'd been through the interview process with the Western Rivers Guide Service. I'd done my first aid training. I was ready in June to be in Moab on the river. My dad came to me in May and he said, Dan, if you'll go to Iowa City for 3 weeks in the summer and take this summer insurance course, then you'll be able to be licensed by the time school starts in the fall, and you can start selling insurance on the side. So what would you choose? What would you choose?
River.
You'd choose the river guide. What about you? What would you choose?
Where am I going to get paid more?
Oh, you would choose money. Over here. Okay. Yeah, well, that's my story. I chose this. I turned down my job offer at Western River. So the other things that motivated me, I told you I had a janitorial business in this same time frame that was gifted to me by my friend Bill. So I had a little source of extra money coming from the janitorial business. And who's my car guy? It's you. What's this?
I really have no clue. I'm not seeing that one.
It's a 1954 Jeep Willys station wagon, the precursor of the Wagoneer. Okay, so I had this car, and for 2 years I'd worked on it, and I'd put a new engine in it, and I had it really nice, and I enjoyed going out in the wilds with it. But suddenly I was on the path to get married. Holly came along in my life, and she wanted a ring, and she wanted to get married. So Holly, hold up my Jeep on your finger. You can all look at my Jeep on her finger when we have lunch. Okay? So I had to sell the Jeep. And then guess what? I was happily married, but I had no Jeep. I mean, what am I going to do without a Jeep? So I was sitting in accounting class at the U, and this is really an interesting story because I was telling Russ this story last week, and I said I was sitting in Sammy Stewart's class at the U, and he said, I know Sammy Stewart, I worked for him. And he was talking about depreciation, how depreciation was going to help a business owner, because when you purchased an asset, you couldn't expense the whole price of that asset. You had to depreciate it over time. So I was sitting there, and I came home that night thinking about depreciation. And Holly, did we talk about buying a Jeep?
I'm sure we did.
I came home with this great idea. We're young marrieds. I'm still in school. And I want to go in. I figure if I buy a Jeep and I hang a snowplow on it, I now have a little business where I can shovel snow and I can have a Jeep again. I couldn't find a picture of a Jeep with a snowplow, sorry. Later we had trucks, okay? What's that?
Him is different.
Yeah. So that's how that's my story, how that all came about is, and I was reading the article at the back about the Grit Center, and it said a lot of ideas are hatched in college dorms. I think that's the story behind Bill Gates. I think it's the story behind Zuckerman with Facebook. So I'm in college. We started a snowplow business to go with the janitorial business. But how hard is it to run a business? I had to learn, and I was learning that you have employees and you got to pay them, and then you got to figure out the payroll taxes, and you got to pay half of those payroll taxes to the government, and then you got to buy workers' comp insurance, and then you still got to do the accounting and billing so that you get paid, and then you've got to buy some insurance, and then what if you need to finance buying a Jeep or a truck? How are you going to do that? And in some businesses, you've got to figure out your suppliers, and you've got to figure out your sales and marketing. When I split off from the large agency for the last 15 years of my career, I had to worry about who my suppliers were going to be. Who were my insurance companies that would give me a contract to sell coverage, sell the insurance policies? All right, so let's see, where's my dreamers? Who's got a dream to sell a product in here? Certainly somebody in here has a dream to sell something. What are you going to sell to make all that money?
Well, I want to do like wealth management.
You want to manage other people's wealth and make them wealthier. Okay, you're like my finance degree from the U. You want to take your training and make somebody wealthier. Okay, there you go. That's good. And along the way, hopefully you'll have a few bucks to put in to make you wealthier. All right. And nobody wants to sell a product. What do you want to sell? A book. A book that you write? Okay. So your challenge is finding what?
Writing it.
Okay, first you got to write the book. And then how are you going to, what's the next step after writing a book?
Editing it and marketing it.
Editing it and marketing it. But there's one other step in there too. You got to print it. You got to publish it, okay? And then you can market it. Okay, you raised your hands. What's your product?
Rugs.
Runs?
Rugs.
Oh, rugs. You want to sell rugs.
Yep.
What kind of rugs?
Tufted rugs. Military rugs. Doesn't matter. They're custom.
Cool rugs.
Yep.
So you'll find a supplier where to do that?
Well, I found I'm not really like finding the supplier. I am the supplier.
You're going to make the rugs?
I have.
Okay. All right.
She was finding buyers.
Okay. So you think you've got the suppliers part down, but it's the sales and marketing thing that's going to be your challenge. Okay. All right. Who else has got a product? I have what, 10 minutes still?
Oh, you still got 20 minutes.
20? Oh, good. That means you guys have to help me because I'm going to run out of slides. Okay, you've got a product. What's your product? Photography. You're going to sell stock photography or your own?
Just photos, I think.
Photos that you've taken. Okay, you're going to be like an artist.
Yeah.
Photography artist. Okay. That's big because you've got to find the subjects to photograph and then you've got to market them. Okay. Have you thought about where you would market them?
I'm doing it right now in Market. I have a website and I have an Instagram account.
Okay. So we've got a website. Okay. You know, in my day, we didn't have websites. We had to go sell them. We had to go find somebody. Websites. What a great tool. All right. Should I go see what's on this next slide? Okay. Here's some really big words for you. Anybody know what any of these are? Somebody be brave. Anybody know? Okay, we've got a
Sole proprietor is when only one or like when there's only one person that owns the business or the business owner.
okay, one person owns the business. Good, that's a sole proprietorship. Okay. When Holly and I were in the janitorial and snowplow business, we were a partnership. So we were two people that owned the business. Okay. What's an LLC? Ah, Sherry.
To describe it, I would say it's legalities. It keeps people from suing you personally. But that's what we get about it. And
Oh,
because it's similar to sole proprietor, but if you register your business as an LLC as a single member, then you're just more protected by law.
all right. Wow, you're on your way. What's your product going to be?
It's services it's a community for singles, just dating services and coaching services and therapy and personal development and events, and so it's community.
Oh, I love it. Okay. And she's right. An LLC stands for a limited liability company. It gives you the protection as the owner from the liability of creating harm to somebody. A corporation, either flavors of there that I've shown, an S Corp or a C Corp, give you that protection as the owner from personal liability as a result of the business's operations. But a sole proprietorship and a partnership give you no protection that way. So a limited liability company was formed, and she talked about a single member LLC. You can be one person and you form an LLC, or you can be two people and form an LLC, or you can be up to 100 and form an LLC. Okay? So how hard do you think it is, Sherry, to set up an LLC to do your services?
It's a little bit more challenging.
Why?
I need to have an attorney to help me to write the articles of all the details that.
Really? You just didn't go to the web and say, AI, please write me the articles of incorporation?
You can do that now. That's true. I used an attorney since 5 years ago before.
Okay. Yep. Very good. See?
I would suggest an attorney still, just because AI is not as good of a thing, I'm sure.
Okay. Yep. Good. All right.
It's probably pretty.
So, Holly, do we have an LLC?
Retired.
Did you have an LLC?
You did.
Yeah, we still do have two LLCs. We still do. And so we don't have a lot of business running through there, but we still have two LLCs left over from when we had active businesses. My insurance operation, our insurance operation was a corporation. Holly and I were the two owners of our corporation for our insurance agency called Benchmark Insurance. So, and the other thing you could be is you could be a nonprofit. Okay, so nonprofit exists out there too. When it says nonprofit, does that mean that you can make money? What do you think? Do you think everything's in the name? You can, what do you think?
Like you can still make money, but you're limited to how much you make.
Yeah, you can own a nonprofit, and you're hired as the director, so you can take a salary out of a nonprofit. Nonprofits are unique because if you're going to go into certain community services, you need to get a grant or you need to get a donation to run what you do, okay? So your dream may be to run a nonprofit. Russ and I met Nancy. I met Nancy a month ago. Nancy runs the Clothing Resource Center here in Manti. Has anybody ever been there? Nobody wants to confess that you're wearing building or clothing resource clothes? They're good clothes there, and it's set up as a nonprofit. It's set up as an organization to serve the community. It got started by Nancy because she was working with kids that were being put into foster care, and they had just the clothes on their backs when they were put into foster care. And so she didn't like that situation for them, so she created this organization to gather clothing for them and being able to help foster children. It's expanded from there, but this has been her dream for 12 years. But she runs it as a nonprofit. So that could be your dream, to serve others, but to still make an income through your nonprofit. All right, let's see what else is up there. Oh, okay, we talked a little bit about this, how you're going to market your product. I guess we got to dive into this because how great is the internet? How great is Facebook, Instagram, and the internet? How great is that for your photography? You're making millions already, but you're getting sales. Okay, all right. What's this Amazon thing? What would that be like? Anybody know what it would take to be an Amazon business actually on the Amazon site? Anybody know? I don't know very much. I insured a guy who did that. He was the guy that got containers full of shoes and floated them across the ocean on a container ship and then sold shoes on Amazon. He was an Amazon supplier. Amazon had all kinds of rules and guidance and insurance that he had to have and giant limits of insurance he had to carry. So Amazon is a great tool, but it has some unique challenges. It's a lot more than just opening up a Facebook marketplace ad and selling your product there. Okay? And then there's direct sales. What's that? That's what you want to do, right? You want to do direct sales. So you'll go out and find the customer yourself and deal with them. That's what you're going to have to do as a financial wealth advisor, isn't it?
Yep.
Can you market your stuff on Facebook, do you think?
Probably a lot harder.
Probably harder. You're going to have to go out and sit across the desk from somebody and convince them that you know how to make their wealth grow. And you're going to have to convince them of that by being directly in front of them. How many of you here are excited to be a direct salesperson? Oh, our back row. Okay. All right. What is it you want to direct sell?
Oh.
Wealth. You want to sell wealth. Okay. All right. Okay. What about you, Sherry? Is it?
Yes, Sherry, I would hire them.
Would you hire them to go out?
I'm not fantastic. That's been my challenge is selling. I mean, I'm great at inviting people to come and join my community and all the events that we're doing. I can be excited about things we're doing. But when it comes to, okay, this is going to cost you $47, then I'm like shy about it. So I need to sell something. Let's do that.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the part I'm challenging.
I told you that my son came to work for me when I Holly and I had our own agency, and his degree from Weber State is in sales marketing. That's what Scott's degree is. So he came to me and said, while he was in school, and said, Dad, I want to go and sell insurance. And I'm like, okay, all right, finish what you're doing at school, and then we'll figure out how to get you started. All right. So he wanted to be sales right from the start. Okay. Let's see what else we got up here. Oh, this is something I always had to keep in mind, and this applies for any kind of business out there. 10 years of persistence turns into practice, which turns into mastery, and mastery into success. You can't expect to be a success right away. You've got to be patient, and you've got to do the steps. You've got to be consistent. This is why my dad didn't want me to take the lazy way into the insurance business and just become a manager. He wanted me to learn how to sell, because as I hired people, I had to know and recognize in them salespeople, people that would be like you two in the back and go out and direct sell. I had to learn how to ask for the check, okay? It's a big part of sales.
Well, sometimes you have to sell that guy working for your company instead of the other.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. You've got to get them to come to you instead of your competitor, or get them away from your competitor. And you have to ask for the check. I went to a lot of sales training courses in my day. And one of the big things that you do as a direct salesperson, Russ, this life policy is going to be the best thing for your family if you'll just sign here and write a check for $50.
What about this other guy? He's got a better policy.
Doesn't matter. I'm your guy. I'm better than him, and this product is far better. It's got this bell and whistle. Just write the check. So
$50.
I learned that I just had to be patient, ask for the money, and be patient. Keep coming up with a reason why, overcoming his objectives, overcoming his objections, okay? Big part of selling, okay? I don't know if you're going to learn all that in this coursework. There's a lot to learn to be an entrepreneur. But sales training and looking at sales training online is a real big key.
5 minutes left.
5. Okay, that means we can have some questions. Okay, this is a principle my dad taught me. I worked with my dad for a long time in my 45 years, which was fabulous for me. But he taught me to give back to the industry that you're employed in, to be active in trade associations. So I was active in the Utah Independent Agents Association. I went to their monthly luncheons. I became the president of the Salt Lake area Utah Independent Agents Association. I also, the professional liability group that because I sold professional liability to architects and engineers, and it was a very narrow field, I got involved in that association and worked my way as I became more experienced in the chairs to be the head of that organization as well. And the thing that helped me do by being involved in the trade associations is it allowed me to meet my competitors and learn from them. I learned a great deal from my competitors in insurance, and especially in the trade organization that was the guys and gals doing the professional liability for architects and engineers, because I wasn't a threat to them. I was here in Utah and they were in California, and we each had exclusive marketing territories. I had Utah, they had Northern California. So I was not a threat to them, and they were not a threat to me. So we could learn from each other. In our meetings that we held twice a year, we taught each other how to be better at what we did, which was so great because We were very unique. We're still very unique out in the insurance world. So don't be afraid to get involved with your competitors and learn from them. And then you have to give back to the community that supports you in business, is what my dad taught me. So he came to me 30 years ago and said, Dan, you need to become a Rotary member in the Salt Lake Rotary Club. And I'm like, I don't have time. I got a young family. I got this, I got that. No, you need to do that. So that's what started me down the path of giving back to the community that I worked in, to join a service organization where I was giving back in some way to the people that were helping me make my money. All right. Okay, this is what I said at the start. You probably didn't totally catch it, but what's the value of your business? At some point, you're going to want to sell your business. What's it going to be worth? Businesses are worth a future revenue flow. Okay, what can somebody else make as money from your business that's running, just going along running? Okay, my friend Bill that gifted me the janitorial business, well, it generated about $2,000 a month back in those days of revenue. And I didn't have to normally go clean, but I could take a couple $100 a month out of it, no sweat. But he gave that to me, okay? But I could have bought that from him based on the revenue that it was providing. It's also based on what's the customer base that you've got. Who are your customers? Are they valuable to anybody? So businesses can be bought and sold, and then someday you'll be like me, you'll retire. So I sold my customers. Part of my customers I sold to my son because he had worked on those jewelers for 10 years. So I sold those jewelers to him when I retired. And Holly and I sold him our corporation, which was our insurance agency. That gave him his supplier, which was a company called Jewelers Mutual Insurance, which was a valuable thing to him. So we sold him our corporation to run. And then I sold my architects and engineers clients back to the agency that I had split off from 15 years earlier, where my dad and my brother had stayed because they had also an expertise in the architects and engineers. And I wanted my customers to be well taken care of. So businesses are valuable. Your hard work after, remember, 10 years, you're going to be a success. You're not going to be a success likely in the first year. You're going to be a success as you keep hard working. All right, now we've got time for questions, so don't be shy. I want you to know that when Russ asked me to speak, this is so exciting to me. I said, I'll be a mentor to anybody in your class that needs a mentor. Mentors are so important in doing a business or whatever. So ask me questions. There's how to reach me if you want me to be a mentor for you. I'm happy to do that. So questions, how much time we have?
Oh, we got a minute?
Minute?
Yep.
Couple of minutes, minute or two for the best question you've been thinking of the whole time. I know there's a question out there.
Do something different. What would you do different?
If I was going to do something different,
Well, like, if you could change anything.
if I could change anything, oh, wow, what would I change? You know, I'm really happy with the path I took for my 45 years. Sometimes along the way, I wished I had done what I thought I wanted to do at the start. At the start, with my automotive background, I thought being an automotive engineer in Detroit would be really cool. But I would have had to live in Detroit. I probably wouldn't have met Holly. Okay, so that's what I thought I wanted to be, was an engineer. But along the way, I changed to business. So what would I do differently? I think I'd just keep working really hard. And I wish it kept snowing. But I wish I hadn't hurt my neck in a car accident so that I could snowplow again, because that was fun, except I had to get up at 3 in the morning, which I can't do very well anymore. So, okay, any other questions? One more, sure, there's somebody that's got a question burning in their head. Okay.
What would be advice you would like to hear when you get started?
Oh, when I got started?
Yeah.
Well, I had a great mentor in my dad, okay? He would direct me. So the best advice is to find somebody to coach you, somebody you can run ideas by, somebody in business that knows how to do stuff. Because my dad's office, was here in the office building, and I started selling insurance to my friends that year after I got that fall after I went to Iowa for school. There was an accounting firm next door that had a young CPA, and I picked his brain to death to know how to run payroll, pay payroll taxes, do all that stuff. So he was like a mentor to me. So mentorship is really important. Okay, are we done?
That's it. Thank you, Dan.
All right.
So much.